Howdy. I wanted to chat with y'all real quick about the Annie Lee Mystery Series by Ovidia U. I recently finished the second out of its 4 books, and I've really adored the first half of the series, so I feel confident recommending it to you now. This series is set in Singapore, and it revolves around our protagonist, Rosie, or Aunty Lee. I actually kept forgetting her name was Rosie. It confused me some. In her popular cafe serving up traditional Peranakan cuisine. Annie Lee does the cooking, and she's of Peranakan heritage herself. This means that she's descended from a group of early Chinese settlers who put down roots in Singapore, parts of Malaysia, and Indonesia, melding with the native cultures, some to kind of form a distinct ethnic identity of their own over time. So anyway, food is a focal point in these books, not only in the vivid descriptions of different dishes and how they're made, but also in Annie Lee's outlook on life. She makes keen observations on how others behave in regards to food, who they try to share with, what they pick, how they talk about food. And she usually takes this into consideration with other facts she finds out to try and get an inkling of their personalities and inclinations, which gives her an edge in her amateur sleuthing. She also makes use of her connections amongst the upper class community in Singapore. Basically, she married her husband, M.L. Lee, a well-established businessman later in life, and he built a comfortable life for her and his 2 children, Rosie's stepchildren. He passed away sometime before the beginning of the first book, and while Annie Lee misses him dearly, she's not been idle in this phase of her life. This was when she got her own successful venture up and running, the cafe. So, all that to say, she has some ties to variably wealthy, bored, and messy individuals nearby, and she's good at playing like the silly, nosy old widow to get information from them when she needs it. It's particularly effective when she has her cooking in tow. She also deploys this strategy in her frequent gifts of baked goods to the neighborhood police department, but I'll let you decide if that's kosher or not. She's heavily assisted in her endeavors by her assistant Nina, a whip-smart Filipina lady who suffers no foolishness. And they're both constantly at odds with her stepson Mark and his wife Selena. These books do a really impressive job, I think, of handling pretty serious themes while keeping a light atmosphere. All of her work I've read so far has themes of LGBTQ discrimination, which, keep in mind, there were discriminatory laws on the books in Singapore until, I think, literally like the last 6 months. And this book was published a decade ago, the first one was. So yeah, it also has commentary on domestic worker abuse, which is a very serious matter there. I think in a lot of cases it's really better defined as indentured servitude. But part of the reason I think she focuses on LGBTQ themes a lot is, from what I've found online, she's not straight. She identifies as a gay woman, and I really wish I could find confirmation of this quote, because it's someone claiming to know her, claiming that she said this, but that she does not like the word lesbian because it sounds too French, which is just incredible. No further comment. But, really, like, there is kind of a transphobic remark in the second book, but from her own quotes, like, she does not endorse that perspective at all. So just, if you encounter that, context. But yeah, the second book deals pretty heavily with the black market organ trade. Really cozy, right? But it's informative without making you dwell on the horrors of it, like, too terribly much. Another theme running through the whole story is how we deal with grief, which, personally, I really appreciated. But I promise, like, it is still a cozy mystery. That really makes it sound like it is not, but she just strikes a balance, and I don't know how she does it. But so I've got more thoughts on the second book here, since I did just finish it a couple weeks ago. Mostly that I really want to try a dish called Bua Keluak now. I probably butchered that. But it's a traditional Peranakan dish that is actually poisonous. Oh my gosh. It's a traditional Peranakan dish that is actually poisonous if not prepared correctly, because naturally it contains hydrogen cyanide. So there's a laborious process that involves harvesting these nuts, fermenting them for weeks, cleaning them, soaking them, hollowing them out, making a spice mash with the meat, and putting that back into the shells. I got tired just explaining that. But it's called the Black Diamond of Peranakan cooking because, you know, the risk involved, and it's supposed to have a bitter flavor that's usually kind of an acquired taste. So I'll probably have a hard time finding any of those here, but there is a recipe at the back of Annie Lee's Deadly Specials, the second book, for a candlenut chicken curry that's supposed to be a pretty good alternative. I'm hoping maybe I might be able to find the candle nuts at the local H Mart. We'll see. There's also a less involved recipe for a lemongrass drink, a list of discussion questions, and a quick travel guide for visiting Singapore. So, you know, you get some bonus content. We love that. I may have hinted at it earlier, but I want to say that I find the way these books look at food, weight, and eating, and the bonds we can form through cooking and eating together, that it's a lot more wholesome than what you find in a lot of conventional American cozy mysteries. You know, even in many that ostensibly revolve around those activities. I mentioned in another video that I've seen some chatter on the Cozy Mystery subreddit about how tired readers are of, like, the constant dieting, guilty remarks about eating, and, like, even derogatory remarks about other characters' weight in their mysteries. So I actually recommended this series in the thread. Before I forget, the mystery plots, they're really good. I think they're both well-structured and well-paced, which, you know, that is the difference between a 2-star and like a 4 or 5-star in a lot of the mysteries I read. So, good to know. But, yeah, all in all, these are refreshing and easy reads that still give you something to chew on. If you don't know much about Singapore or its cuisine, you're going to learn a lot from these very easily. So this is just sort of random, but the covers for the audiobooks are just a lot better looking than the ones for the actual novels, at least for the first 3. So I kind of wish I could swap those. But if you zip right through these and you want more, Ovidia U has another mystery series set during the 1930s in colonial Singapore called the Crown Colony series. They are from the perspective of a Peranakan teenage girl named Su Lin. I read the first one, the Frangipani Tree mystery this past summer, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Once I get through a few more of those, I think I'd like to cover them on here as well. She's also written a lot of plays, but I haven't looked at any of those yet. But that's about it. Y'all take care, stay cozy, and happy reading. Bye.